If you're watching this and you're kind of thinking what for me is best, there's a general rule of thumb that we sort of would go about.
There's so much about these days, as you all know, on social media, of people getting ridiculously shredded.
Most people start trying to bulk when they're too heavy.
Yeah.
Would you say you kind of think there's a good rate of loss that people should really look for when they're trying to do this diet so it doesn't go on forever?
When I tell them that my first diet, I lost, I think it was like 47 pounds.
It could literally be 40 or 50 pounds, and like that's what most people fail to realise is,
Oh shit, like
yeah, it's getting hard now.
yeah. When in reality, if you just take it up a notch in here,
Yeah.
you can get through it.
Right, welcome to the potential first of many podcasts / filming with me, Jack, and Jimmy. We're going to talk today about just generally what people think they know about fat loss versus what we know from coaching hundreds of guys over the past 8 years for me, and for old timer over here.
Yeah,
what are we looking at?
longer, maybe 14.
14 years for him. I was in school then, so
Yeah.
I was...
Fixing pipes.
Yeah, I was fixing pipes and... What kind of pipes? But no, just talk about that and generally what people think they know versus what we actually know from coaching a lot of people. Now, the biggest thing that we find with people when it comes to this is actually they don't really know what body fat that they need to end up at. And this, for a lot of people, can be make or break when it comes to just actually the long term for them as well. Stopping their diets early, never really fulfilling it the whole way through. And I don't know if that's something you found a lot over the years with people that you work with and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's expectations, isn't it, of where you think that you need to be, and just like constantly chasing rather than actually setting a realistic target of what you can physically achieve, yourself. There's so much about these days, as we all know, on social media, of people getting ridiculously shredded. I think you have to sort of like...
Do you think that sets an unrealistic expectation for,
I think it does,
for people, like, of what they actually think they need to get to? Like,
quite a
someone
lot
being really shredded, thinking that should be where you should be when your fat loss finishes.
For quite a lot of people, yeah, because I think, obviously, like, we've had people that have got to that stage, but it also encounters another level of where you need to be. Like, of course, genetics come into play, and some people just get stupidly lean, stupidly easy, and then people will be like, how he does that? It's like, well, there are a few factors, but yeah, a lot of the time it's them big highlight reels. They often are a bit more of a struggle than what we could be, looking for potentially for just not everyday clients, but people who just want to get lean.
Yeah, for sure. So for the people that want to get lean, we typically would always recommend anywhere between like 10 to 15%. And it's such a big range. And I think that number's flown about a lot in the industry as like the gold standard for people to get to. And not many people actually know what that looks like. Because when you're 20, 25% body fat, 10 to 15% is the dream. Like you're sort of looking at that, and you might see people in the magazines talking about like what that looks like. But what do you think that visually is for a lot of people, 10 to 15% as like a marker to look for? Because we all know body fat measures on scales and everything else like that, they're massively off. They're never truly accurate. So like, what would you tend to look for in a client?
I mean, when you're looking towards that sort of 10% mark, which people will say, and I mean, I think, I don't know about the studies these days on like how accurate you can sort of test body fat, but I know like some of the pods in the universities and stuff will give you a pretty accurate reading. I'm not too keen on like the DEXAs and stuff like that, but they're a tool that you can use. But if someone says to me they want to reach, that sort of 10 mark, I'm looking for, obviously people will get leaner in different places at different times. So I like to see some form of sort of like abs coming in at that point. So you will see sort of like a bit of a, the sides of sort of the ab wall, and the legs will start to get a bit leaner. Not shredded as such, like,
not shreddy, but it's
not shredded gold. No, hamstrings not in yet, but with that 10%, you will start seeing like, the abs come in a lot more. That's what I like to look for most people. But again, a lot of people are different, and they might have, really lean arms or not so lean on the stomach. As we were just talking about, like for myself, like towards the end of the diet, I have to really delve in to get my abs to come in. So again, it's a very much it depends situation. So I don't know if you have any sort of like different opinion on that.
Yeah, I think we've done dieting now for, I mean, I first competed in 2015. So getting on 10 years.
I was 2018 first time.
2018, but you'd obviously dieted before that as well. So like we are quite experienced in the sense that we know now with certain weight points where we need to be. So like I know when I get to a certain weight, I'm probably going to be at this body fat percentage, or another weight, I'm going to be at that body fat percentage. So it's really easy for us to guess. And I think that's the difficulty if you're just starting out or fairly new in your journey, is you are gunning for this target, which it could be 20 pounds, it could be 30 pounds. It could literally be 40 or 50 pounds. And like, that's what most people fail to realize, is you probably have way more than you think. I remember when I first dieted for my show in 2015, I was 40 pounds. Like, that's a lot of weight. Like 40 pounds is so much weight for, I wasn't even that heavy at the time. Of course, that was like for competing, bodybuilding. So you're quite shredded, but the reality of like when it comes to getting to that percentage, and we'll get onto like why it's important in a minute, is it's going to probably take just that little bit more. And that for me is something we often find. But no, for me, abs are the last thing to come in. It's the like muscle group for me, which is the least prominent. Yeah. And it takes the longest. And that's, to be honest, for a lot of guys as well, tendency.
No, I mean, like similar stories, like I would like do my sort of like one-to-one coaching job, and I see my clients on a daily basis. And when I tell them that my first diet, I lost, I think it was like 47 pounds.
There's so much weight.
And they saw me at the start of the process, and they wouldn't have imagined that I would have had to lose that amount of weight. But you know, it's like what, 4 or 5 stone or something.
Yeah.
You know, so you end up so. But obviously, this is the extremes of the diet. But still, for us in the industry and losing that much body fat, why can't just someone who hasn't really got that much experience lose like 50 or 60 like over time?
Yeah, it's doable.
But
it's definitely doable. And why do you think it's important to get to this level? Because again, it's thrown about. I certainly talk about it. I'll often say 10 to 15% to a lot of clients before they start bringing their calories up. But is there like a golden reason as to why you think it's a good idea to get there in the first place?
I mean, just from dieting clients, myself over the time, like you'll find like, your resting heart rate gets better, your fitness gets better. Like you might drop a little bit of strength, but you don't tend to that much until you delve over into that sort of like almost that bodybuilding like situation where you start to notice that real drop off.
Yeah.
I know clients do say about it sometimes, but I think that's firstly them encountering that, oh shit, like the end.
Yeah, it's getting hard now.
Yeah. When in reality, if you just take it up a notch in here, you can get through it. But what was the question again? Because I was going to go into it.
Just around like why most people start trying to bulk when they're too heavy.
Yeah.
So the situation goes like this. Someone will get lean and not lean enough in this first situation. They'll think that they're in a good position. Calories will come up. They'll have a few heavy weekends. Their training will be okay. And in 4 months' time, they would have gained probably close to 10 kilos. They'll look no different. They'll look just as heavy with body fat gained, and then they'll be back to dieting. So all you do is you get stuck in this loop. You do a diet, you get to the point where it's not kind of carried on for long enough. You then calories back up, and then you've gained that weight back, and then you're back in that circle. Versus going all the way, stripping the body fat off until you're as lean as you can be within reason, without taking the absolute mick with it. And then you're setting yourself up for 6, 9, 12 months of proper lean gain if you do it right, by taking more off rather than just stopping when you're probably 10 pounds off of where you need to get to.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a big fan of it, is the longevity you get off the back of it.
Yeah.
Because we all know we can gain muscle at higher body fat ranges.
Of course.
When I first started, like that was what I did. I went on a perma bulk, and I think that's what we've all done. Yeah. Absolute dream. Yeah. I think just it's absolute horrific clips of us.
Yeah. Looking like an absolute swamp donkey.
Looking back at that, it was, we probably gained way too much body fat.
Exactly,
It wasn't needed.
And we learn on the job.
We had to take so much fat off.
Yeah.
Versus now we know realistically there's an amount of muscle you can grow per month, per week, which is realistic. Probably wouldn't have done that, and it would have meant for less harder diets as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, even my sort of like what I would call like a push up or a gaining phase now, like for me, obviously I can only relate to it based off of me doing bodybuilding. So I would say that I would go like 25 to 30 pounds sort of max over what my stage condition would be. So for me, like, 30 pound max. But before, like when we're talking about that, like I was always chasing to get over 200 pounds. So
it's like a magic number on the scale, isn't it?
Me and Charlie, I used to send him pictures on the scale. So obviously he's naturally about 10 pound heavier than me anyway. So I was trying to chase it. I remember just weighing in and then going and eating like 2 bananas and like, oh, I'm nearly there, sitting on the scale.
200.
But yeah, like it's like with junk volume in the gym, it's almost just junk weight.
That's a good way of doing it.
You're just putting it on for no real reason. So at some point, it just offers no extra training benefit. You know, I've dropped 30 pounds and still been gaining strength in the gym. So it just goes to show, like, of course, you do have to, you know, mass moves mass to a certain degree, but there is also that point where you too much, you know. And I think some people do get caught up with that, like you say, with when they start doing the heavier bulks. And the start points, what they do, obviously determines that, doesn't it? So obviously, with the position that I like to get people at, it's not as lean. You don't have to get stupidly shredded after before you start pushing back up, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, maybe just overlay some clips of like what we think is good body fat percentage. So like this would roughly be what we'd be looking at, 20 plus 25% body fat if you're in this position. This here is probably around 15 to 20%, and then this here is about 10 to 15. So like those are the areas that you can visually now look for if you're sort of watching this and thinking, okay, I want to get to a certain level, but I don't know what that looks like. That's probably what you should be roughly aiming for. And we'll put a mix of the clients in so you can just see the different body fat types. So the big thing as well, obviously, when people diet is it can take forever to do it because a lot of people, one, they don't have an end date. 2, they lose weight at a very slow rate, which is fine. Like, but certainly losing weight at a slow rate isn't like a problem. But would you say you kind of think there's a good rate of loss that people should really look for when they're trying to do this diet so it doesn't go on forever? Yeah. Because I've seen diets go on for a year plus that probably doesn't need to, and it's taking time away from bringing calories back up eventually.
Yeah, I think it is very person dependent on this one. And it's such a comment that you'll hear from me all the time. But I've got clients who are doing just like at the moment, they're doing really steady like drops each week, like, you know, like Johan and Steve, for instance, like two of my clients at the moment, and they're just dropping and dropping. Yeah, everything's better in the background. So like health benefits are better, like they're feeling more energized, the strength's still going up in the gym. So it's hard for me to say what's what, because I know that some people's adherence to it can get like shot really quickly. So they are the type of people that need to get in and out quick. You know, it's almost like what we would call mini cut, you know, like 12, 16 weeks of just consistently just getting it off quickly and then looking to reverse. I mean, what I like to tell people as well is when they do get down to that point and they do reverse, like don't be over upset if your weight does come back up. Like that is the idea. And if it's the first time you've done it, you know, the fat's always going to distribute differently as well, I find. 100%. So that's why we do multiple diets, because it never goes on quite the same. Like, I don't know about you, but like it will always distribute differently. So I know it's hard to say for people who have been dieting for a long time, but the next diet is always going to be easier and it's going to just, you know, put you in a better position moving forward.
Yeah, that literally is exactly that. And I found that with myself as well over the past couple of years. Every diet I tend to do is a bit more easier when I've gone through the phases properly. But no, I think with the rate of loss, if you're watching this and you're kind of thinking what for me is best, there's a general rule of thumb that we sort of would go about 0.5 to 1% per week. That's a gauge. So if you're 200 pounds, £2 a week. If you're 400 pounds, you're probably going to lose it quicker than £4 a week. But that's a good gauge. And one of the things we do find, well, I find anyway, is like the guys who start heavier, your big body fat ranges, I think they will lose weight quicker, but then it really slows. So it gets to a point where I think the diet fatigue comes in quite a bit for them. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah, no, of course. I can't.
Coffee long stockings in the background, isn't it?
I don't know if he's throwing up or not. Also,
you're right, Jacob. Gonna sack the videographer for coughing. All right, we're back. We're back from our hiatus of coughing in the background. Our videographer has not died. He is fine for now. But anyway, basically talking about the guys who are bigger when they start with their fat loss, they'll lose really quickly. And I've literally seen 4 or 5 pounds, sometimes literally 8 pounds in a week, a lot. And then they'll hit a natural ceiling. And I think this isn't necessarily because they are like not in a deficit anymore, I think the fatigue element comes in, like the diet fatigue. So they start going over a bit more. It's harder to stay on track with. And I think that's where the mindset, like kind of switch that you spoke about earlier, probably is like the thing that needs to come in a bit more. As if you found that with your
There's
guys.
big chunks of weight though as well, isn't it? Like, you know, if they're doing like every week, they're doing 4 or 5 pounds, it's like you're knocking on like 15, 20 pounds worth of weight in a month, which is very doable for someone who's like, you know, on that quite big side, but it's a lot of weight, you know, so that, you know, they're going to start to feel some sort of thing really quickly, as opposed to if someone's like a real steady, you know, just gently sort of edging into it. So yeah, I have. But on the flip side, like I said previously, like the real slow and steady burners obviously does offer that benefit too, because they're just, nothing's being pushed too fast. But if you're happy to do it, obviously, you can just consistently drop. Like we might be able to pull up a picture of Johan, and he's gone from, what was he, like 112, 107, or he's like
so much now.
He's like 80, nearly 80 kilos now. So it's just steady, consistent, but everything in the background's getting better. So he's getting stronger, leaner, like more time to spend with his family, like doing like, you know, like skiing and stuff and all sorts. So both sides, isn't it? Like, I think.
And I think the training element comes into that as well. Like the reality is you drop more each week, and we can all lose fat really quickly. We could lose fat at 1% a week every week, but there's two things that come with this. The deficit's harder because you're usually in a bigger one. You don't just lose fat more by chance. It happens because you've put yourself in that position. And training will usually take a little bit of a hit with it. And this is the thing that's really, to be honest, bugging the shit out of me with this whole retatrutide 1,000-calorie diet style at the minute. Great. You could be on 1,000 calories and losing a ton of weight, but how's your training going to be realistically 3 or 4 weeks into it? Sure, you might keep some muscle mass, but even on that amount, you're not fueling yourself properly for your sessions enough to warrant probably keeping the muscle the whole way through. So sometimes a slower diet might actually be a little bit better. You can, like say, have more time for actually family things and not be able to be in this horrific deficit all the time and stay stronger, because the whole goal of fat loss is not just to lose fat, it's to preserve your muscle mass through the process as well. What's the point spending years gaining muscle to lose it when you diet because you went too fast? So there is swings and roundabouts for it. And training is one of those things that I think people forget about. They just think, oh, fat loss.
Yeah, I think, you know, like if you're losing, I can't remember what I was going to say now, with the sort of like the sort of retatrutide and stuff and the low calories, like you got to think, like if you are coming from a place where you've got to lose a lot of fat, I think you have to build up habits over time. It's no good just slamming that all in one, losing it all. Great, like you can do that, but can you maintain it? Can you maintain the muscle mass that you have on your physique, or are you just going to look like, I don't know, like a empty carrier bag? You know, it's like, but it is though, isn't it? Because I've seen so many people lose so much weight and then they come to me and they're like, oh, well, I'm not happy with like the tone, or it's like, yeah, because you didn't train. Like you just like smashed a load of weight off. And I think the slower pace of it is if you're willing to learn along the way, you know, learn the habits, because a lot of the time the habits need to be created from being quite big, because you've obviously got there somehow, right? Like from sort of like overdoing it. So you can't just do it like super fast.
You don't just
think that,
you know, just walk into being 25% body fat.
Exactly. So it takes time and it takes, you know, patience, I think, a lot of the time. But obviously there are cases where you can go a bit faster. But
it's like you said, you the habits towards getting bigger and more like with higher body fat needs to take time to be reversed, because those are the things that are going to be challenging, and they're a test in itself. It's like progressive overload for the brain. Like you've got to get used to not going to the cupboards every single day to grab a biscuit out or 2 biscuits, and that's the stuff that takes reps to build on.
It does.
Just avoiding those things. So with the training, like I think there's a big thing with regards to the intensity during a diet versus when you're trying to build muscle. I think a lot of people get this wrong, especially a lot of guys that we work with as well, is they will train really hard outside of a deficit. They might be in this bulking phase that they're in. When it comes to the dieting, it's like they change everything. The reps change, the intensity changes, the exercises changes. And I think a lot of people forget that what has built your muscle in the first place will keep it. Sure, as you diet, you might want to change a few exercises that are really hard and take recovery, like you want to recover better from. But realistically, the training is kind of the same. I don't think it really needs to change never really for most.
No, it doesn't. I think we talk about this a lot with sort of like clients and stuff, which is fine because I understand that people do want to change things along the way, like with programs and stuff. But if I was coaching you,
Oh, okay,
which,
yeah,
watch
1,000 calories,
just
5 days a week training.
you need to. But the chances are you would probably do the same program for 12 months.
Yeah.
Like I might move a few movements if you was getting, like, say you wanted to drop down to below 10%, let's say, I might take out some of the huge compounds, which are potentially by that point, really sort of like detrimental to what we're trying to achieve. But for the most part, it would be pretty much the same stuff, repetitive. So it's almost like you have to enjoy what you're doing. So that's why I try to find movements that my clients enjoy. And that can progress over time. Like we say, it's no good just chopping and changing all the time just to sort of like keep someone happy, because we know that what works is a solid foundation of training that you can progress over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's enjoyment in repetition, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going into the gym and actually, and if you're not this way inclined, it's hard to relate, but enjoyment in adding 2.5 kilo. Or adding another couple of reps and like knowing that that's progression, rather than trying to like mix it up every time you go into the gym and never really then seeing the change because of it.
Like, that's why, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
that's why.
And you can mix it up and then fucking not do the same stuff that you've done the previous week for multiple weeks in a row, and you're just then never getting any stronger.
Well, that's the classic one, and you'll go back to that movement you've done before, and you can't lift anywhere near what you used to do.
And try in the same way.
Got 6 hours later, you've got no reference points, you've got no nothing, because you keep changing things. You really don't need to. You need to pick a few things that you really enjoy doing, and consistently do them. And that's like not even just the bodybuilding perspective. That's a general fat loss. That's if you want to, strength. That's any type of training. That's what you want to do, really. You want to pick stuff that you can enjoy, you get on with. Like I do get that, a few alterations, a few changes, because there's stuff like, and I think I've got a few clients like this at the moment, and a few like, isolation type movements. I'm quite happy to change them every now and then because, like a curl is like, how many people are going to be progressively overloading the curl until they get down to 50 kilos?
Just there with like 40 kilo dumbbells. Come on.
So it's a point where it's like some of them movements you have to just think, okay, well, am I just doing this for like just a contraction and just getting through them ones and really focusing on the compound sort of side of things. So again, it's a very much, I'm always willing to learn and look at the data, but it's proven that, sticking to the basics, it's always going to be, your best bet for fat loss, muscle gain, strength, general body composition change. Yeah. Male and female as well, male and female. There's quite, sometimes there's that, oh, well, should I train any different to a man? Like, absolutely not.
No.
Should train harder. Why not?
Should the same. Yeah.
Is exactly the same. The same movements. Like,
if you want a bit more volume on the legs, then that's
fine. But again, that might not be what works, like.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's true. So I think like kind of to wrap up on the next topic, talk about just generally the diet and longevity of the other things to look out for. Because I think the big thing that I find with clients is they get close and they never really get there. So the training's good. They know the body fat level. They get in there and it's like that last bit. Everyone wants to lose that last bit.
I love the last bit.
When the last bit is probably way more than we actually.
But I love the last bit where it's like people say the last bit, they haven't even started.
Yeah.
Do you know what it's about? I just need to get the last bit off. I'm like, huh? It's like, what?
That last bit's 25 pounds, my friend. And like, it's for those that actually do need to lose that last bit. For me, I'm quite keen to set like a time frame ending point, because I think that gets to a point where the diet's getting close to being ended. You've maybe done diet breaks and you're, let's just say, 5 pound off. Having like a goal and a date where it's like, this is going to be done by then, I think helps you, because mentally by that point, I think you're going to be tapped out. Socially, you're probably picking things on a menu. You don't really want to pick at that point. We're going out for steak and we're having steak with a sauce on the side. There might be veggies instead of chips, or maybe actually you just maybe avoiding going out because you want to just get the diet done. And that can happen as well.
Yeah.
So I think time frames when you're getting close works incredibly well, because it's the mental fatigue at that point for a lot of people.
I think a lot of people relate to that. But I think we spoke about it before with clients, and some people do need to diet for a long period of time. Unfortunately, they do, and you will get to them points where you're almost just so sick of it. And I do have a couple of people like right now, like who will know, they'll know who they are, but you know, and we're sort of coming to points now. It's like, okay, well, why don't we get down to this number and we'll take this amount of time to do it. And then the reverse just happens regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it might well be that you need to do another round, you know,
Yeah,
like unfortunately you need, well, not unfortunately, like we all do. Like I'm just about to go into a gaining phase myself. You're always bulking, but you need, like we say, you need to do multiple diets, don't you? It's not always going to happen on the first go, because if it did, then we'd all be just done, right? We'd all be where we want to be.
Yeah.
So
and body composition gets better each time. Like, obviously, it's fantastic when we can work with clients for multiple years, because we've seen body composition get better every time. Like,
you get to go through a stage.
I'll put a photo up of Jordan here. I think he's been with me 5 years now. When he first started, his first position was never going to be one diet. It was going to be multiple diets and multiple years, and that's what it's been. But he's now in a position where that's changed. And I think if you're coming into making a change, starting the gym, or just wanting to take it a bit more seriously, just be realistic in the sense that maybe this diet is a step towards the ultimate physique that you want to be in the long run. And rather than looking at it as like, if it's not happened this time, then you're going to quit. You have to just keep working for it.
Yeah, I think it's like, sometimes we look at it and this, you know, you'd have like a bit of a churn of a client as such, but I think sometimes if you're going into coaching, if you're looking at coaching, you do have to look at it for the long term.
Yeah.
Because it frustrates us, and not even from a business point of view, but a point of view that we know what worked. And we know that if you get past that time, you're going to be so much on it. You know, like people want to get it done in like 12 weeks, which I understand, I completely understand, but the realisticness of it is, it's going to take longer, and you're probably going to have to do multiple stages, like you sort of said, like with Jordan, with a few other, you know, guys, on the shoot specifically. You know, you even got Darren, which we'll probably could put up here as well, but he's just going into that gaining phase now. But I guarantee the next time that both Jordan and Darren diet, they're going to look miles better than the diet this time, with more muscle mass. So it's sometimes just understanding that you've got to play the long game. Because it would be great if it was all done and that's it, right? Fat loss is done. Got all the muscle you want now. See you later. But we would be out of a job as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. I think that's a nice way to end it, to be fair. Play the long game.
Play the long game.
Because at the end of the day, with every shortcut and stuff you see on social media, try this exercise, do this for whatever amount of weeks and you'll be where you want to be. It's just not true. Like, the long game is always what it will come back to, and being patient, doing the right things. So
consistently, right?
Yeah, consistently.
Consistently doing the right things, and obviously trusting in someone if that's the way you're going with coaching, and you know, trusting the judgment of, you know, the longevity of how long it's going to take or how long it should take, as opposed to like what you think it should take. You know, there's too many people that sort of like, oh well, I just want to get in and it's like there's almost no point in that, is there? You know, it's like we would rather see someone stay with us a long time and really achieve the result that they're after, as opposed to
Cool.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, if you want to follow us, I'm sure you might do. We'll leave Jimmy's.
I'll leave my link.
Yeah, you follow him and just not follow me. That'll be nice. We'll leave our bio links in the description. And if you want a bit of a head start, we do have our 4 weeks free coaching, which you can get going with and start as soon as possible, and give you an insight into how we coach, run through the sheets and stuff that we use for 4 weeks free before maybe even eventually wanting to potentially work with us. So we'll hopefully see you in the next one, because if you like it, we'll do more. And let us know if you do in the comments.
A bit more structure.
Maybe even a nicer layout and background, but we'll see. Cool. Cheers.